Shut up and sit down.
She usually sleeps in here when I'm working, but I think if there's like too much talking, she's like, I'm trying to sleep. You know?
Bitch, be quiet. Out of here.
Welcome back to another episode of the Bias Effect Podcast. It's me, QJ.
It's me, Nikki. And I'm about to drop another episode of terms for y'all. I think it was literally our second episode we did.
And we also definitely said we would circle back and go through a few more terms, but hey, we are. It's only 30 episodes later.
Yeah, it's fine. Forget it. But yeah, so we're gonna dig deep into some more terms now. So I went back and I listened to our episode 2, and yeah, we touched on the very most basic level of terms, and since then we've dropped terms here and there, of course, but we basically went over like what the bias, Delulu, leader, Magnite, Young, Nuna, like stuff like that. We're like just like basic honorific terms, and we talked a bit about like visual and the ace and a comeback, stuff like that. But so today we're gonna go more into depth about like the band positions, different albums, but also some just other random ones I found. And some of them I've never even heard of, but
I think what brought it up was like we've been doing our like group episodes pretty consistently, and like every time we're like main vocalist and then lead vocalist, and we're like, what does that even mean though? Like, so that's why we were like, maybe we should dive back into this and figure it out so we don't sound so out of it.
True. I learned some interesting stuff, that is for sure. So yeah, I just also picked up some like random terms that I didn't really know about, or like I'm like, oh right, this is this. But so some like, okay, I'll just start with bagel girl. I've never in my life heard this, but it was on like a list. I found a list on Reddit, and this is this list, but I took off a lot of them that we already talked about. Bagel girl, I guess, is a word that combines baby and glam, used to describe the look of some female idols. The baby part refers to youthful, fresh face, with glam refers to glamorous or curvier figure. So, bagel girl. But yeah,
literally
so
never heard that.
We're not really in the girl groups yet, though, so maybe.
I guess, yeah.
Well, but yeah, bagel girl. Okay,
keep my eyes out for that, I guess.
But I was very confused when I heard that. Another random one, which I feel like makes sense, but I've never really put it together. Like, it's called the Big Three, and this refers to SM, YG, and JYP. They're like the biggest 3 companies in K-pop, and they were like a big part of like it getting like those bands from those companies getting famous in North America. So like SM is SHINee and EXO, YG is Blackpink, JYP is every other band.
Yeah.
Stray Kids and GOT7 at one point. So they're referred to the Big Three, I guess. Now this one was interesting too, because you hear the word chocolate a lot in K-pop songs, but I don't think it's referred to. It's not necessary. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not being referred to as what we think chocolate is referred to as in North America. Chocolate, often they're referring to chocolate abs, meaning like your abs look like a chocolate bar. I was like, I have never in my life heard that in North America. Anyway, I've only heard like 6-pack abs or like a 6-pack, but not chocolate, like a chocolate bar. I'm like, I would never associate abs with like a sweet. A dessert item. I mean, what are we gonna do now?
I mean, I guess it's not wrong.
I mean,
it's
not wrong. Yeah. I've also heard popcorn too, like because they. I know. I don't like it either.
I don't like the visual of that.
Yeah.
Popcorn abs. Ugh. No.
In K-pop Demon Hunters, they have a whole bit where like the guy shows his out and it like turns into like popcorn.
Oh.
So, yeah. So it's a thing, I guess.
Okay.
Daesang, which we hear a lot. It's a major award, end of year award ceremony. Not to be confused with Big Bang's Remember Daesung. it's usually like it's like the big awards. You hear about song of the year, artist of the year, album of the year. When you win a day song, you've made it. Basically, we always see like the clips of winning the days, like BTS, when they won their first day song for Most Beautiful Moment. Like it's like one of the cutest clips of them being like so shocked and so. And I think same with you mentioned it on our last episode, 17 won their first day song for FML, and all the clips are always like they're so emotional about it. So yeah, big deal. So that's what day sang is, not to be confused with day sung. Okay, gotta get this straight. We now know this, but if you ever hear Dispatch in the conversation of K-pop, they are the I don't know if you would call it. I guess they say it's a major news outlet. I don't know if it's like I feel like it's like a TMZ, but that's from my perspective. But it looks like it's yeah, I think I would call it a TMZ because they have a notorious for having accurately exposed dating scandals, including big stars. A few of these couples include Rain and Kim Tae-hee, Junghyun and Shin Se-kyun. But they're always the ones that we see at the airport. Those are the people. If you ever see any clips, it is Dispatch most likely. And they always have it's actually, I think that was the stream we were watching when we were watching the BTS.
Yeah, the like military discharge ones. I think we were watching Dispatch.
So yeah, if you see Dispatch, you can kind of trust it for like K-pop tea, basically.
I also just kind of figured it was like a TMZ thing. Yeah, I do see also that like people tend to believe whatever Dispatch is saying. Like it's even with some of the like airport stuff where they're going to like the fashion things that we talked about in an earlier comeback and all that. Like if you see it on Dispatch, then they probably really are going to that.
Exactly. Like if I see stuff on Instagram and I can see, because they always have their logo burned in, if I see Dispatch, I probably will believe it, at least in that type of. I think we talked about this a bit, this next term in imitation, but it's the word, like it's the English word fighting, but they say it like fighting or fighting. And it's just like, it's so interesting to me because I get why they would say it, but like for us, fighting is like I'm gonna hit you, I'm gonna battle you. But for them, it's more like a encouragement, like a break a leg or like do it, you do your best, and it's just so interesting to see it. It's in everything. Like you see it in K-pop, you see it in K-dramas. It's just like fighting. You're like okay. And so anyway, that's what if you ever hear fighting, it's like no, you like do your best. You'll do it. So that's fighting. Hanbok is the traditional Korean clothing. We see it a lot. They have like I forgot what it's called, but there is like a traditional holiday that happens a lot. So you'll see a lot of the K-pop idols in hanbok. So if you ever see hanbok, that's what it is. It's usually like they have like they're like long. They're like it looks really comfy, frankly.
It's kind of like a big robe sort of thing, but then like sometimes there's like a little hat too, isn't there?
The hat, yeah. So normally, and I don't know too much, but from what I know, I think that look is like if you were royalty, like so if you have like there's like a big old like in American terms looks almost like a pilgrim hat, like that style. But then it covers like their top knot that they would have. So, and then it's like a big old, like, and what like you said, robe, and then like a little, like rope like right under their breastbone, I guess. Mm-hmm. But anyway, that's hanbok. The next term we recently just kind of found out about Happy Virus. No idea that this is like actually. Can you imagine? They'll be like, "Hey, you're my happy virus." I'd be like, "Okay."
Yeah.
But it's just a person that spreads joy, and it is a bit hyper. They're a bit hyper. So, like for example, DK is the happy virus of 17 for sure. And I don't know who you would like. Like I would think maybe the happy virus on Stray Kids might be Changbin. Maybe.
It came up in another episode. I think it was One Us. Apparently Soho was their happy virus, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I think that's when we were like, oh, that's a thing,
Yeah.
I guess.
And then DK's whole new single was Happy Virus, and yeah, he's definitely that. Which one of us is the Happy Virus? Neither.
Yeah, I'm like, not really our vibe.
Not our vibe. This one I just found interesting because I never like thought that it would have a different word, but karaoke is actually a Japanese word. So in Korean, it's called noraebang. So
I have seen that word before, but I just never really like thought about it.
yeah. So like the direct translation is singing room, and it's like in Japanese culture, I think it's similar, where it's just like a very common thing for people to like go out and just like do karaoke or noraebang, and I've never actually done it either. I've never done karaoke, so I know I've never done it.
I've done it a couple times.
Yeah.
I don't like, bar karaoke where all the strangers are just there.
No,
but I have done
no.
it, like in college. I've done like
Yeah.
that kind of karaoke when I was like wasted. But before we moved, we did there's a karaoke bar in there's a karaoke bar, I guess, whatever. Anyway, we went to a karaoke bar with like just the group, like 10 people or whatever. Like, it's pretty fun. And then
Yeah,
me and my husband, just the two of us went once.
that's awesome.
It's really fun. Like, I mean, I don't know. I just like to sing like to myself.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I'll go.
I know. I've always wanted. It makes sense why I would. It's like a very me coded thing to do. I've just never done it. Never had someone never invited me to do karaoke with them.
Oh, we went for like a friend of his.
Interesting. Interesting.
Well, next time I come down,
We'll do it. It better be all K-pop jams. But yeah, because even in North America we call it karaoke. Like I've just found it interesting that Korea does or have their own noraebang. Okay. And this next word we've definitely discussed before, but I had to add it. It's oppa.
oppa.
But apparently, yeah, it's for a female would call a closer older male. Apparently it's used for actual brothers as well as close friends, but yeah, so it would be like anyone that you're close to that's an older male. It's often also used like if you're like a boyfriend or something, but technically it can be anyone. It can be your, I don't know, it can be your neighbor that's an older guy that you're close like that. No, it can be. It can
Morning,
be like anything.
oppa.
Like yeah, it could be like my landlord. He's an older man. I could call him.
Yeah.
Technically, it doesn't mean inherently like someone that you're interested in, but I think that's where a lot of us associate with that. And for funnies, we always do the oppa thing, but I don't think it's inherently that. But so just clarification on that one. So those were just my a list of some interesting different terms that we've kind of heard and broken down. But next, I'm going to get into the band positions. So I will go through, like we've talked about, there is a bunch of different positions. Now, I will also say not every band uses these classifications, but they're very common across the K-pop sphere. So we'll just kind of go in order. So the leader, which we have discussed on previous times, but I'll go into a little more detail. Usually, but not always, the eldest member, or at least one of the eldest members. So, for example, Bangchan is the oldest member of Stray Kids, and he's the leader. JB from GOT7, he's the leader. He's not the oldest, but he's the second oldest. And then interesting, like even like in like BTS, like RM is like the middle. Like he's the so. Doesn't always, but some of them are the members that have been trained the longest, which I think, like, that has been a trainee the longest, which I think also is Bangchan in that scenario. But Geo from Twice, she was the longest trainee, and she is the leader. Some don't have any leaders, like Blackpink don't technically have a leader. But in general, the leader's role is to motivate, take care of the other members, represent them in various ways. Usually, like, they're the main person that's going to talk on a stage or a word. And they're in theory, supposed to be the most mature and charismatic and gain respect of the other members of the band. Which, Yeah, I can see that in
Yeah.
most scenarios that we think of the leader, like Bang Chan, JB. You hear a lot of the other members here talk very highly of him. Um, and like Scoops too.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of people show mad respect for Scoops. So
It's so funny to me because, like, in terms of, like, their role is to, like, do most of the talking, but every time you see a BTS interview, Arm's like, okay, who's talking next? Like, I mean, I think in the early stages he did do a lot of it, but, like, every time more recent, like, especially on stage and stuff, he's, like, crowding people to the mic, like, your turn!
that's true.
In a way, though, still leadership, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like RM specifically too, he took the main role on the English stuff too. Like he was like the main point person for
Yeah.
everything in English interviews, right? So, but yeah, it is pretty funny. Be like,
Yeah.
we know they love you, so you talk. So basically, then how it breaks down in the other categories is you'll have a main, a lead, and a sub. And now this will be vocalist, rapper, and dancer. I only really saw main and lead, so no sub dancers. But basically, the main is like the main person, like that is the person of that category. The lead is the second best, and then the sub is just like the way I read it is like backups. Um, but so we'll go into each one. So I'll start with vocalist. So the main vocalist would be the member with the best singing technique and who gets the most difficult vocal parts typically. Usually they get a lot of singing lines and usually sing the chorus. Sometimes the lead will sing the chorus while the main does ad-libs. Now, I think this kind of goes into line what you were saying a lot about Jungkook, who he is the main vocalist of BTS. Where he does you said he does like a lot of like the side recordings and all of that. So that lines up with the main vocalist.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And then so the lead vocalist, yes, technically this member with the second best singing technique, and therefore usually sings before the main vocalist. They get the hype up for the main vocalist. Sometimes the lead vocalist will sing the chorus while the main vocalist does the ad-libs. Sub vocalist. This is simply also could just be called the vocalist, but they're the ones that support the main and lead vocalist and can get fewer singing lines. Which again, I will do. It's a part of my my little game after this. You will break down who in BTS is each of these categories, which I think you already know. But
Yeah, only because of a future thing I might, but still, I won't look at my future notes then.
Yeah, don't look. But anyway, okay, so then we'll move on to the rappers, which again, interesting concept to me that's not really in North American bands is they have vocalists, rappers, dancers, like that. Those are the three categories band members get put into. So, main rapper. The main rapper gets the most rapping parts and is supposed to be the one with the best rapping skills. Supposed to be. Many times.
I'm gonna have some comments about this later.
Yeah, many times the main rappers write their own lyrics, which makes sense. The lead rapper is supposed to be the second best rapper to the main rapper. She usually begins the rapping parts. Sub rapper, sometimes also just called the rapper, is someone supposed to be better than non-rapping members, but not as good as lead or main, which tracks for BTS in that category. Well, we'll talk about it. No, I know. We'll talk about it.
There is one point I can say, like, just in terms of, like, when they rap, like you said, the lead rapper usually starts. I do see that in BTS quite a bit. It's, like, usually Suga first. And then Arms, like, usually does, like, halfway through the song is usually when his verse is. So, sure, in terms of that, I guess.
And then we have
fucking rude.
We'll get to it. Okay, calm your horses. The next section is the dancers. So we have usually the main dancer and then the lead dancer. So the main dancer is the one with the greatest dancing skills, and they usually get solo parts. And from what I've seen, it's not in my notes, but they're usually the dance leader. So they're usually the one that helps other members get any of the choreography. The lead dancer is usually the second best dancer in the group. When the group dances together, he or she will often dance in the front or the center position. Now, again, there's a lot of conversation to have.
Mm-hmm.
Visual is the next kind of category we have, which is its own, just, I think it's technically supposed to be a one-person category, but it's not the case anymore. I think it was more important back in the day. We talked about it on our first term, but because we're talking about all of it, visual is the hottest person of the group, basically. Literally broke it down here. Visual is usually the member considered the most physically attractive in the group, according to Korean beauty standards. So for us, it could be very different who we think in North American.
But I also think that, like, it's not usually one person anymore, because, like, I mean, I only know this because we just did 17, but there's, like, 3 visuals in that, quote, unquote.
And, yeah. Yes, exactly.
So it's like, not really, like, a singular thing anymore.
And I think when we did it before with the T's, too, I think it's, like, 2 members, but, like, if you really look at that whole group, you're like,
yeah,
they're all visuals, like, in realistically speaking. So, but that's the visual. I think it had a bigger importance back in the day when we talked about it. So, now the interesting one that we both didn't really know a lot about, the face of the group. Now, this is a different thing, and it's not to be confused with the visual. But although typically they are hand in hand, but it is a different role. So the face of the group is the main person that brings public attention to the group. So they're usually the ones that are going to be doing variety shows or goes to different public events and stuff like that. So in the 17, Sungkwan, he's like the host, or a variety show. He does a lot of hosting, so like he would be the one. Or Mingyu, he's like in doing Calvin Klein out there, okay? So like stuff like that, right? So it does go hand in hand sometimes with the visual, as in Mingyu, where he's just studying and he's out there, people just staring at you like, who are you?
Yeah.
I'm in 17. So oh yeah, that's also interesting because it can change. It's a very changeable role, because basically it's any member that has like a really high popularity. So like all of a sudden, if I don't know, let's say in 17, like Vernon starts popping up, he could be the face of the group, which I think you did say he was. Actually,
Apparently
so.
he is. But I could see, like, anyway, like with 17, like Mingyu and Sungkwan are gonna go to service, right? So somebody else will be the face at some point, to be the face. Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's not and it's also not a mandatory position. Like a lot of these aren't mandatory, I don't think. But it's one that,
Pops
doesn't really. Yeah. And then we also see the position center a lot. It's usually the person that is physically placed the center in video shoots, etc. But this I also found interesting. They're also the center of during promotions. So like if you see photos of them, they're usually the one that people will put in the center, which never thought of that. But it's usually because of their popularity, and because they're the one that's getting the most attention, so they'll put them in the center. So like, for example, I think Jungkook is the center. He's the most popular. They'll put him in the middle.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I kind of had to look some of these up for other thing too, and when I read that, I was like, oh yeah, that just like literally makes sense. It's literally right in the center. But I knew that Jungkook was the center because like there's just so many clips where like they go to promotion things and like camera people are putting them in place, and even his group is like Jungkook in the center, and then the rest of us.
Yeah, it changes too. Like and actually, there's a big plot point in Imitation, where Yuno's character gets put in the center, and that causes a whole shitstorm with the other guy that's a bit of a bitch character, and he gets all fucking up and tight because he's no longer the center. So can be considered a thing.
Yeah.
But I find it changes a lot. Like even in like ATEEZ, for example, they always change the center spot, I feel like, and I think BTS does too. So
the center of ATEEZ is Hongjoon. I only know because
I know
I was
technically.
Like, is he though?
I know.
The Jungkook one makes sense to me because I think when you see a lot of pictures, he really is like in the center a lot. But I was like, I've literally seen interviews with the ATEEZ and Hongjoon's like in the back row. Like is he the center? But yeah, I mean, to that point, like there's a specific clip I remember seeing where all the BTS guys were dressed like in dark colors, and J-Hope was wearing like a white jacket, and a photographer was like, oh, can we get him in the middle? And like even Jungkook was like, bring it in, switch it out, swap it out. And like the whole J-Hope was like, oh no, but you're the center, and he's like, oh, that's fine, you can also be the center. But like he took it with grace, okay?
Absolutely. Ugh, that's so sweet. I love that.
I know. I was like, stop
I know what.
And like
I know what
Jacob's
you're
like, are
talking
you
about, too.
sure? And he's like, yeah, man, get in the center, dude.
100%. And then the last main position in a band, which we've talked about many times, is the Magni. They are the youngest member of the band. Usually they're always associated with being cute and shy. Some Magnis are also popular for being evil Magni, which we know in a tease. Jungho for sure an evil Magni. But yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, like IN, I think, is the most typical Magni in the younger years, who are usually so cute and like... So, I always think about the one clip where he thinks Bang Chan is saying bitches, and he's, like, eating watermelon, and he's, like, staring off to the crew, like, oh, did he just say that? Yeah. But not anymore.
Not anymore.
He's the Magni on top, that's for sure. Okay, so, yeah, we've talked about all the different band positions, but, the next thing we've always been kind of more curious about is subunits. We always hear about subunits, and I find it fascinating to me because, again, this is something completely nothing to do with anything in North America. We've never heard a subunit in a band, in North America bands. Never. You might hear someone like do a spin-off with someone else or something, but never like subunit. So typically the definition of a subunit is smaller groups from a bigger band that are trying to like promote, like they're just promoting a different aspect of the band basically. But what I found interesting, I didn't know about this, but they could also include people from different labels. So for example, there is a subunit called Two Heart, which is Chinese Key, and Infinite's Wu Hyung from Wulim Entertainment. So okay. They're also a way of like trying to do a different sound without associating to the main band. And then also the other side of subunits, which we've seen like in 17 or Stray Kids, is it just has a very specific special ability within that group, and they're in charge of specific things. So like Stray Kids has Sriracha. They are the producing line of Stray Kids. They are in charge of putting the songs together. And I don't know if they're official subunits, but Vocal Racha and Dancer Racha are in Stray Kids. Because when I was looking up Stray Kids, they don't really have positions like that are broken down. They're only like labeled vocalist or rapper, so they're kind of unique that way. But I think it's because they have these subunits within their band. So like the Vocal Racha, they're in charge of making sure the vocals are on. The Dancer Rachas, the dancing. Three Rachas, the overall producing, blah blah blah. So that's why. And then it's also subunits can also be used for like potential cross promotion for the main band. So for example, CBX was EXO's subunit with Chen, Baekhyun, and Schumann, but they were huge in Japan. Just CBX, not so much EXO. They were the ones that like kind of brought a bigger pull to EXO, but it was like just the subunit that was doing that. So okay.
Interesting.
And usually it's all about vibes.
I mean, isn't it always?
Well, that's where I was like interested, because I was like, because apparently that was the big thing with CBX, is Chen, Baekhyun, and Schumann were like just like the besties of EXO. So when they just did their own subunit, it was like very successful because of their energy together. But that's where I find it interesting, because I'm like, that's why I like a band, is usually the vibes together. Like Stray Kids, all 8 of them work together, so it would be weird for me to like see like a subunit break off. But EXO was also huge back in the day. It was also like 13 members, so maybe. But also it is a way of dealing with military service for male groups, specifically subunits. Like for example, I didn't really realize this, but BTOB had a BTOB subunit called BTOB for You with Youngkwon, Chansub, Minhyuk, and Panil, and that was the subunit that was on the Kingdom show with Stray Kids and ATEEZ. They were actually the subunit then. No idea. So all their other members were in military at the time. So
isn't there only 5 guys in that group?
I think there's like 7. I know.
Okay.
I thought there was only
like,
4
they just
members
got one
too.
guy out and they were like, bye. Okay, maybe
I know.
there's
I
more.
thought this. That's why I was confused too, because I actually thought this 4 group unit was just BTOB, but it's not.
I mean, I can't think of
more...
the other name, but I feel like I remember seeing 5 names. But maybe there's 6 or 7. I hope so, because that one guy's like, "What the fuck, guys?"
Exactly. But you can even think of it with the 17, the Scoops Mingyu too, right? That's also a way of them of doing dealing with the military service now that 4 members are gone. So they're like, oh, let's just do a spin-off that's just us, and it's not actually associated with the 17 brand per se. I think this subunit has a lot to do with branding, right? Mm-hmm. Which again is so weird to me, because when I follow a band, I'm following it because of the band. I don't really want to, like, I don't go, like, I don't know, one member does something different and I'm, like, gone. I don't know. The first company to ever do this subunit thing was SM. So, I will say, SM is a sketchy company, I think, a bit, from what I know. But they were very innovative in the way they dealt with the K-pop industry. They were the first ones to do subunits. They were the first ones, I think, to try to do multiple different things. But
I think that, like, SHINee was the first group to do recorded dance practices, I'm pretty sure. Like, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure I heard that, and, like, they're an SM company, so...
Yes, that's correct. I remember that. Someone leaked their dance video.
Yeah, and then they were like, we'll just do it ourselves then.
Exactly. So, yes, there's that, too.
Again, don't quote me. They might have also started relay dances.
Maybe. That wouldn't be surprised, basically. Anything that seems to be new and, like, new to the... It seems like SM started it. So, I will give them credit there. That's the only credit. That's the only thing I'll do. But yeah, the first major subunit to officially debut was Super Junior, KRY. The subunit consisted of the 3 main vocalists. So, and then there were some groups that work with permanent subunits, which we discussed on the last episode. 17 has the hip hop unit, vocal unit, performance unit, and they're like 3 main subunits technically. Now they don't release under those names technically. Now, there is a whole band, as we know, NCT, that is the whole... I didn't realize this, but their whole concept is unlimited members concept. So, their whole point is to have members rotate on a concept-by-concept basis. So, that's why they have so many subunits. Again, I find that very interesting because I am someone that associates with a band, so I would not want to be into NCT, which is why I'm not, because I don't want to, like... go like, oh yeah, like I love this guy, and then they're like, oh, they're actually, he's not in this anymore because he's now in here. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't like
I just don't understand also, like, how do they play old music? Yeah, like, do they just reform the old group, or does the new group do the... Like, I don't really understand that part of it either. Because, like, yeah, I would think, like, oh, these songs are bangers, and then, like, who's singing them now? Like, is anyone singing them now?
No, it's a really good point. I never even thought of that, but yeah. Like, okay. Like, as if one member goes to another subunit, can he sing any of those songs that he did in another subunit? It doesn't make sense to me personally, but yeah, there's a bunch of NCTs, as we all know, but I think the most popular one right now is NCT 127 and NCT Wish, so there. Do with that what you will. So that's a subunit breakdown. So I got a little bit of better understanding. It's still weird to me. Still, I don't really fully understand I understand the purpose of it, but I don't like it. Let's just say that. I don't like subunits.
Yeah, I mean, like, I like some stuff that's come from some of them. Like, I like the Hashi Uzi subunit, and, like, I don't mind the BSS subunit from 17 as well. But, like, I also wouldn't buy those. I mean, buy the Jonghyun one because of other reasons. But, like, I wouldn't really buy the other ones. I just kind of listen to them and, like, cool, great.
And for me, too, I'm like, that's still in my brain 17. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not going, oh, this is just Jonghyun Wanmu. I'm like, no, this is, again, I would consider a spin-off of 7. Maybe that's another word for it. Maybe it is just spin-off.
That's true.
But, yeah, like, legally binding or whatever you want to say, it is a whole other brand, technically. And it's all released under a different branding and all that. So, okay, fine. But that's subunits. Okay, the next thing I'm going to talk about briefly is album breakdowns. So we see a lot that releases come in very different ways in K-pop. So they will either have like a mixtape or an EP or a full album. So like, what does that actually mean? So I looked a bit into that. And so I looked for a basic breakdown of what each of those mean and then how they also apply to K-pop because they are a little different. So basically, a mixtape is more supposed to be more casual or experimental release. So it originated in hip hop culture. So rappers would put together tracks and to showcase their skill, their remixes, their freestyle, or unreleased songs, right? To get their name out there and their style out there. And it's usually a looser structure. It's less polished. They'll often use beats that are not owned by the artist. But the purpose mostly is to build hype and connect with fans or test a new sound without the pressure of a major release. So if you hear mixtape, you already kind of got to know it's not supposed to be like a full-on release. So yeah, it's supposed to be like a sketchbook, raw ideas, experiments. And on Spotify and Apple, how they categorize it, they don't really have a mixtape category, as you've probably seen. But they're usually going to be labeled as albums on Spotify or Apple. In K-pop, specifically, it is a much rarer thing. Now, we've seen it a lot with Stray Kids specifically, but don't think I've seen mixtapes per se in other bands. So, but it usually refers to solo projects, which makes total sense when you think about, if you think about Stray Kids mixtapes, a lot of them have like the solo songs or like
the duo unit songs.
Yeah, yeah, unit songs. So, and it's less formal, not always tied to the group's main promotions. Uh, like Stray Kids mixtape series. Which makes sense again with the mixtape because the first album Stray Kids released was called Mixtape and it was pre-debut, so it was in theory to get hype out there and to get their name out there. So
true,
but again, it's the whole concept is to like not have as much it doesn't have as much promotion or hype around it. Okay, or like money put into it, I guess. So EP, extended play, is always going to be like a shorter than album but longer than a single. Okay.
Okay.
It's usually 3 to 6 tracks or under 30 minutes. And it's usually, like, again, this is more North American, but it's usually to introduce an artist's sound and serve as a mini album or fill a gap in between larger projects. It's more official than a mixtape. And usually, it usually is released on streaming platforms and sold, but it has its own classification on streaming devices as EP, and it's usually it will get categorized if it's 3 to 6 tracks or less than 30 minutes on Spotify or Apple Music. But in specifically K-pop, it is the most common type of release, which we've definitely noticed, where it's just 4 to 7 tracks. In K-pop in Korea, they mostly call it a mini album instead of an EP. So though they are interchangeable, basically EP and mini album. It's promoted also just like a full album, as we know. It's like it is an album basically in my eyes, compared in like North American culture basically. And then an album, or it's called an LP, long play. So it's a full length body of work, usually 8 to 15 plus tracks, which I guess is true.
Yeah.
When I think about like real albums, like not real albums, but like full albums, they're long. It's usually 30 to 60 minutes, and usually it's supposed to be a major artistic statement, often with a theme or a concept or a narrative. Again, when I think of that, I think of Magic Man 2. Okay. And it's, the most polished, it's very heavily promoted, it's usually considered the artist's main work. It's a novel, full artistic statement, so... And on Apple and Spotify, there'll be anything 7 or more tracks or longer than 30 minutes. And they often will have pre-release singles, which we see all the time in K-pop, official artwork, or bigger marketing. But in K-pop, specifically, it's usually 8 to 12 tracks, treated as a major comeback. Big promotions, multiple music videos, heavy marketing, which... When you think of Karma, like for example, Stray Kids Karma was a full studio album, and they had like 4 music videos immediately. Yeah. So, mini albums or EPs in going back to EPs. The reason why it is so different in Korean culture versus like North American culture, because I don't even think I've ever really seen EPs. Like when I was growing up, for example, it would always be like full albums, and that's why we would only see them like like every 2 to 4 years or whatever for bands because they were spending a lot more time on it, right? In theory. So in Korean culture though, artists are expected to have frequent comebacks, which
Yeah.
why do we have monthly episodes, people? Because it is frequent. It is coming all the time. But because typically a full album would take longer to prepare, of course, a mini album is the route they go to stay more visible and more popular. And also it's more title track focused industry, which means like they will promote heavily on just one track on those albums, which we see all the time. Even on where we get all of our comeback lists, it's always just the title track instead of the actual album name. So.
True.
And as we are very well aware, they also heavily rely on physical album sales and collectibles. So the more mini albums you can push out, the more money you can make off of all of the and the different versions, which we're aware of. And also it's a form of risk management. You know, if you don't have to put a lot of money into an EP or mini album versus a full album. So if a full album fails, you're more likely to fail financially too. So. And then mini albums could also be used for releasing a full album. So like it's like a build up to the full album. Like the example here is TXT. They had all those Dream Chapter series as EPs, but then their first full album was the end of the Dream Chapter. So okay. And then just briefly, I also looked up digital albums. So polka albums refer to pocket albums, which makes sense. Yeah, it's a digital physical hybrid, and so instead of getting a CD or a big photo book, you'll get like a credit card size package with a QR code that will link to whatever app they use, and you can get like the digital photo books that way. So it's a way of being more environmentally friendly, but I still like the big old ones. Sorry, I'm so sorry. And yeah, they'll usually have more photo cards, which again, kind of for me goes against how I like it, because you would think I would like more photo cards, but it's all about the gamble, never knowing what you're getting.
Makes it special.
Exactly. So normally that's what a polka album is referring to. It just is more about the digital aspect of it, and it links to multiple different, it depends on whatever the company itself uses, but there's definitely hosting apps, which is, so polka is the term for the digital album, but like for example, JYP uses Nemos, that's the app it goes to, and then there's different app services that the QR code will go to, but polka is polka. Pocket album, which makes total sense, because especially with the Atiz ones, those are like polka to Ati, where it's just you get a credit card size, that's it, and you get a bunch of photo cards, and so it's usually cheaper too. It's usually cheaper because you don't get everything. So okay, there you go. There we go.
Facts.
We did it, guys. We went through all different band positions. We got some new fun words in there and learned a little more about the albums. My fun little side game that I had for you, but I think sounds like you're gonna just do this anyway. I put together like, can you break down BTS's different positions, basically. I also had 17, but then I realized we literally just did 17.
Oh, yeah.
So, and it's funny though, because to me for 17, I'll just go through 17 quickly. Sub vocalist is like literally everybody. I'm like, yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's gonna be. And then also visuals. They have 4 visuals. Like we talked about Joshua, Mingyu, Vernon, and Jonghyun. I'm like, okay, yeah. But okay, yeah. So let's go through BTS. Okay, who's the leader of BTS?
RM.
And yeah, okay. Who's the main rapper?
RM.
Yeah. And so who's the lead rapper?
Choco.
And who's the sub rapper?
J-Hope.
Audacity. Absolute audacity.
I just like, so to like, I know you're gonna ask me, but like, there's 2 main dancers in BTS.
Yes.
So why can't there be 2 main rappers or 3 main rappers? Why can't you double up on them? Fucking rude.
I know. It is funny. Because, like, I do agree. I think RM's a great rapper. Like, I do. Like, he's an amazing rapper, but I kind of agree with you. I don't know if he's the best rapper in BTS.
I mean, like, I get that it was built around him or whatever, but, like...
Yeah. And he's, again, he's a very good, like...
Yeah.
I love him, obviously. But they're different styles, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Suga's rap style and RM's rap style are very different. So it depends what you consider. Like, Suga's the fastest rapper, for sure. Period. And J-Hope, that's just so rude to me.
I know, that's what I was saying. Like, we talked briefly about the rapper thing, and I was like, I would just be so offended if I was J-Hope. Like, how dare you call me a sub-rapper?
I know.
How
like,
dare
I get
you?
It. Like, if these classifications came right when they did debut, yeah, he was the main dancer. Like, that's why he was put into BTS, I'm assuming. But I don't know. But also, he's part of the top 3 of, like, anyway, whatever. It's, again, I think I made this point earlier to you, but this just proves how talented BTS is, because you can't even categorize them into these categories, because it doesn't make any sense to me. Now, the also other sub-rapper is JK. I'm like, which, fine, but I'm like, J-Hope and JK on the same level as rapping doesn't make sense to me. Okay?
Like, respect to JK, but, like, come on, man.
Yeah, like, he's very, again, he can do everything, and he literally is almost, I think, in every category, pretty much. So yeah, so main rapper, RM. Main vocalist? Tell me.
Jungkook. I was like, wait, I know this.
I know you know it, yeah. So, yes. Main dancer, you kind of touched upon it, but...
It's J-Hope and Jimin. And I only looked because I was like, if J-Hope's the main dancer, what the hell is Jimin? Don't be rude. And then I looked and I was like, how can you... What do you mean there's 2? How can there be 2?
But I think... Yeah, I know, because Jimin is also, like, an incredibly talented dancer. But I think J-Hope is, like... I would put him more as the main dancer, because he's also, I think, the...
It seems like he takes over, like...
Yeah.
Teaching and, like, watching the performances and stuff. And, like, Jimin is just, like, an incredible performer.
Dancer, oh my god, yeah. Okay, so lead rapper, Choco. We talked about it.
Yeah.
So lead vocalist. Who's the lead vocalist? So the second best singer.
I think it's Jimin also, right?
It is Jim. That's our boy Jim.
I mean, like, fine. I'll take it, I guess.
Which, again, okay, I'll just skip down to sub-vocalist, which means sub-vocalist.
Yeah, it's like V and Jin, right?
And technically J-Hope. But I'm like, V and Jin are sub-vocalists? Yeah. What are we talking about? Jin just did a whole solo tour. Again, this is a very completely talented group. And I'm like, Jin, amazing. V, also, completely unique voice. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. And then, so then go back up to dancer. So who's the lead dancer? Which is like the second best dancer of the group.
Jungkook?
Yeah. Okay. Sub-rapper we talked about. Sub-vocalist we just talked about. And then who's the visual?
Must be Jin.
There is 2. But yes, Jin is 1. So there is one more visual.
V?
Yeah.
Fucking rude.
I know.
I think that Jungkook is... Well, we already talked about that. He's the center as well. But yeah, there's no face, I guess.
No face, technically, which I'm like, yeah. Okay, yeah, so JK is the center. JK is also the magni. So he's like everything in this group. So there, that's an example of a breakdown of the groups. And when I was going through this, I was also looking at Stray Kids. I'm like, yeah, they don't really fit at all. I also did GOT7, but I don't think we really know a lot of the other specific GOT members. But you know who the main rapper is?
Jackson?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I only know because of, like, a bias thing I was looking at, and the main vocalist is JB.
And
Jackson is also the face. And
he is. Jackson's and another thing. He's also one other.
No,
he's not.
He's a rapper,
no,
vocalist? Face?
No, he is the lead dancer.
Lead dancer, that's
Jackson.
right, yeah.
So yeah, JB is the main vocalist, the leader, the lead dancer, the center.
Oh yeah, that was it.
Okay.
He was the center, yeah.
And then Bam Bam is the sub rapper. That's all Bam Bam was listening
Yeah.
to. I was like, that's
When I looked at his too, I was like, oh, okay.
I was like, that is so rude to him. I was like, okay. Yeah. And then Mark was the lead rapper and visual. So the visuals are Mark and Jinyoung.
Jinyoung is like the
Jinyoung,
actor,
I think, is the actor
right?
guy.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, and he's also the face of the group. And he's also the center, Jinyoung. Okay?
Sure.
Sure. So yeah,
Well.
that's a little game I had for you. So there you go.
At least we know now what all these things mean.
Yeah. And the audacity of it.
I mean, yeah. Like, who did this? Like, who makes these
I know,
labels?
who makes
Okay?
these, that's what I need to know. That's what I have not
I've got
figured out yet. Who
questions.
makes these decisions exactly? So, I mean, that about wraps up the second term episode. We went through a lot of more stuff.
Great job.
Now you know what the face of the group is, guys. Who's the face of our group? Me. No. Nobody.
Oh,
We
like,
don't
it's not our
anything.
vibe either. It's not our vibe.
No, not our vibe. Okay, well,
Well,
thank you so much. And I'll catch you on the flip.
bye.
Bye.